Okay, so dito naman tayo sa blue laws, green laws, and brown laws. Isa-isahin natin. So pag sinabi nating blue laws, basically it pertains to water quality laws. So blue laws referring to the color of the seas, oceans, and other bodies of water. Blue laws refer to laws which deal with the protection, conservation, and utilization of waters, marine life, and aquatic resources. Blue laws encompass both inland waters such as rivers, lakes, and streams, and the seas and oceans, whether part of the country's territory or not. Basta pag sinabing blue laws, patungkol yan sa tubig. Okay. So this governs the protection of water resources for human health and the environment. Water quality laws are legal standards or requirements governing water quality, that is the concentrations of water pollutants in some regulated volume of water. So tinitignan kung maayos ba yung mga bodies of water na part ng bansa and even yung mga nasa labas din ng bansa. Right. Such standards are generally expressed as levels of a specific water pollutants, whether those pollutants are chemical, physical, biological, or radiological, that are deemed acceptable in the water volume and are generally designed relative to the water's intended use, whether for human consumption, industrial, or domestic use, recreation, or as aquatic habitat. So examples of blue laws are the Philippine Fisheries Code of 1998, the Laguna Lake Development Authority LLDA Act, and here are some significant Supreme Court cases. Okay, we have Tano versus Socrates, People of the Philippines versus Vergara, Hizon versus Court of Appeals, and LLDA versus Court of Appeals. Okay, next, green laws. So green laws are those that deal with the protection, conservation, utilization, and development of forests, other land-based natural resources, and wildlife. So yon, forest, land-based natural resources, and wildlife ang green laws. Green is the color used since lands and forests are generally supposed to be green. Land-based wildlife also consider the forests as their habitat. They are included under the green laws. So it is a collective term encompassing aspects of the law that provides protection to the environment. So a distinct set of regulatory regimes now strongly influenced by environmental legal principles focus on the management of specific natural resources, yun na nga, such as forests, minerals, or fisheries. Other areas such as environmental impact assessment may not fit neatly into either category, but are nonetheless important components of environmental laws. So examples of green laws is or are the revised Forestry Code and the Chainsaw Act. Hindi kasi basta-basta pwedeng magmay-ari ng chainsaw at hindi lahat ng puno pwede mong i-chainsaw. Kaya may batas tungkol dyan. The Wildlife Conservation Act, the National Integrated Protected Area System or the NIPAS Act, na-discuss na natin yan. The Philippine Mining Act of 1995 and the People's Small Scale Mining Act. So, significant Supreme Court decisions regarding green laws are Aquino versus People of the Philippines, Mustang Lumber versus Court of Appeals, Loney et al. Versus People of the Philippines, Merida versus People of the Philippines, and then Metropolitan Manila Development Authority, MMDA versus Concerned Residents of Manila Bay. And lastly, we have brown laws. Brown laws refer to laws and rules which deal with pollution control and regulation of activities which could affect the environment. These laws and rules include those which control hazardous and toxic wastes and chemical, basta pertaining nga sa pollution, solid waste management, and rules on the conduct of environmental impact assessments. So part nun ng brown laws are air quality laws. They govern the emission of air pollutants. Kasi nga, again, brown laws pertain to uh, laws na involved para maiwasan ng pollution. So yun, air quality laws. A specialized subset of air quality laws regulate the quality of air inside buildings. Air quality laws are often designed specifically to protect human health by limiting or eliminating airborne pollutant concentrations. Other initiatives are designed to address broader ecological problems, such as limitations on chemicals that affect the ozone layer and emissions trading programs to address acid rain or climate change. Regulatory efforts include identifying and categorizing air pollutants, setting limits on acceptable emission levels, and dictating necessary or appropriate mitigation technologies. Okay. Um, Another part of brown laws are waste management laws. They govern the transport, treatment, storage, and disposal of all manner of waste. Basura, human waste, basta lahat ng waste, including municipal solid waste, hazardous waste, nuclear waste, among many other types. Waste laws are generally designed to minimize or eliminate the uncontrolled dispersal of waste materials into the environment in a manner that may cause ecological or biological harm and include laws designed to reduce the generation of waste and promote or mandate waste recycling. Regulatory efforts include identifying and categorizing waste types. Um, we call that segregation, di ba? Sa mga, dito sa school, nagsisegregate tayo. Ginagawa natin yan. And promote or mandate waste recycling. Regulatory efforts include identifying and categorizing waste types and mandating transport, treatment, storage, and disposal practices. Hindi kasi lahat ng waste ay, kumbaga, madali lang mag-disintegrate. Some waste would last up to several decades. Kaya kung several decades siya bago siya mawala, ibig sabihin nandito lang siya, nananatili siyang nandito sa lupa. So papaano natin siya ma-dispose? Yun. Kaya may mga ganitong batas. Environmental cleanup laws. This govern the removal of pollution or contaminants from environmental media such as soil, sediment, surface water, or groundwater. Unlike pollution control laws, cleanup laws are designed to respond after the fact to environmental contamination. Ibig sabihin, na-contaminate na siya, magre-react na lang tayo. Tsaka tayo maglilinis. And consequently, must often define not only the necessary response actions, but also the parties who may be responsible for undertaking or paying for such actions. Sino ang mananagot? Yon. Sino ang magbabayad? Sino ang gagastos para maayos natin yung ganitong part ng environment, para malinis natin siya. Regulatory requirements may include rules for emergency response, liability allocation, site assessment, remedial investigation, feasibility studies, remedial action, post-remedial monitoring, and site reuse. Kaya nga, di ba, merong mga specific places lang kung saan tayo pwedeng magtapon ng o magtambak ng basura, yung mga dump site. May napanood akong documentary. I forgot kung saan country yun, pero tambakan siya ng electronic waste. Alam niyo yung mga lumang computer, kung inabutan niyo pa, yung family computer, para siyang predecessor ng PS, ng PlayStation. Yun. Saan mo tinatapon yung mga ganun? Mahirap naman sunugin, di ba? Tsaka bawal din magsunog. So, yun. From one country, binabiyahe nila yung mga electronic waste nila into that specific country to another country. Nakalimutan ko lang, pero may ganun. So, dito mo gagawin sa Pilipinas. Okay. Chemical safety laws. This these types of laws govern the use of chemicals in human activities, particularly man-made chemicals in modern industrial applications, as contrasted with media-oriented environmental laws, such as air or water, water quality laws. Chemical control laws seek to manage the potential pollutants themselves because uh, chemicals are both beneficial and dangerous. Kaya nga, kailangan silang i-regulate. So, these companies na gumagamit nito, these laws would protect, would help the companies na gumagamit nga ng chemicals kung papaano nila uh, i-manage yung chemical waste na ginagamit din nila. Okay. Regulatory efforts include banning specific chemical constituents in consumer products. For example, bisphenol A in plastic bottles, bawal yun. And regulating pesticides. So examples of brown laws are the Toxic Substances and Hazardous and Nuclear Waste Control Act of 1990, the Philippine Clean Air Act of 1999, the Philippine Clean Water Act of 2004, the Ecological Solid Waste Management Act of 2000, the Philippine Environmental Impact Statement System. So significant Supreme Court decisions for Brown laws are the province of Rizal et al. Versus the Executive Secretary and Bangus Fry Fisherfolk et al. Versus Honorable Lansanas et al.